In fact, I finished a marathon and I said, never again. Hi, I'm Miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom. I would like to make a commentary that I'm really pleased that I got so many feedback. First of all, thank you for the compliments. I do my best, but I'm particularly pleased with all the feedback on like how to take care of trees in the cold weather, because I acknowledge I don't have firsthand experience in that. So thank you very much for all your feedback. One of the feedback was particularly precious to me was a drawing by an artist who watches my video that I was slumped in my chair answering questions. I think he did a very good job. You know, funny thing is that nobody thinks that portrait looks like them because they have a different image of what they really look like. But the more I look at it, the more he did a good job. He depicts pretty well what I look like. So thank you very much, Ed. I'd like to make, the next thing I want to do is to make a commentary. One of the reader, Judge Too Good, wrote that, in some sense, how can he compete with someone like me who would buy a lot of trees at the auction, which I want to tell you, it's beginning of February, auction called the Mammoth Auction in Oakland, Lake Merritt Bonsai Museum. They usually have several hundred, at least a couple hundred trees at the auction, and then more at the sales. It's a really good time to pick up old trees as well as the starter trees. So if you have time, look at the web, and maybe I'll see you there. My response is the following. First of all, never think of the negative first. Always think of the positive. You get a lot more done. You would be happier. You'll be more successful by doing so. So don't ever think that you couldn't do it at the auction. Then the advice I have for you is the following. Don't buy the stuff that everybody wants, which is the obvious ones that are somewhat finished, nice looking. You pay a lot. For me, I'd rather look for the stuff that nobody wants, but it's that I can outsmart the next guy by seeing the virtue, the possibilities. And that's when I buy. You may be surprised, I hate to tell you prices, but that nice maple trees that I got that I make into a bonsai, bunjing bonsai, that cost me less than $200. You know, the trunk was this big. So I encourage to go to the auction, but get the stuff nobody wants. That if you see the angle that you can use, then get it. And then the second thing is be well prepared. Before you enter an auction, look at the trees, study the trees, and then write down the maximum price you will go up to. And finally, it's your attitude again, which is like, nothing in the world that you must have. These are all wants, not needs. So be willing to let go of certain prices to say, you know, hey, that's enough for me. So with that, I think you'll do well at an auction. So please go. I hope to see you there. Okay? The next, a whole bunch of good questions. I want to thank each one of you, mostly about how to take care of plants. One person wrote back about very successful with my soil mix. He saw a difference immediately in the response of the tree. Thank you for the feedback. That confirms what I believe, and I hope more people will try it. The other one is about 500-year-old California juniper. One question is that, how much would a tree like that cost? Well, I hate to talk about prices because that can vary all over the map, but since you asked, I would say the following. There are a lot of dumpy California juniper. In fact, if you look at some of the photos from places like New Mexico, they're all over the place. And they're just junky wild trees that are very straight and really not very good bonsai material. But on the other hand, they're old. So it doesn't have to be expensive. I would say several $100s, under $1,000. for, straight kind of a old tree. But there's really not much point in doing it. I mean, aside from the age and that it's wild, the good ones could run up to tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, like in Japan, one of those Oshinpaku that are like the California juniper goes for $250,000, So it's all over the map. Depends how much it's worth to you. How are you going to use it? For example, if you're going to display it right next to your $1 million antique, well, it's worth a lot. So whatever. Then the next question is that how do you decide it's a 500-year-old tree? Well, let me tell you how I can decide roughly, a good estimate. If you take a cross-section of the trunk, you'll find the rings are about a fraction of a millimeter. I would say 2/10 of a millimeter at most. So that says given there's 25 millimeters per inch, if you have 2 millimeters, that's 5/10 of a millimeter. Each inch is about, let's see, each inch would be 5 times 25, about 100 years old. So each inch is about 100, and it's not circumference, not diameter, because they tend to strip a piece. That strip grows in one side of it, grows out. So it's actually, you don't have to do the radius or diameter, but rather you can do the radius, so to speak, in a sense of distance. And so roughly 100 years an inch. So mine, I think I'm underestimating it. There's another one I have more than 10 inches, so it's over 1,000 years old, which I would do one of these days. I think you will enjoy that. I had that for many years, but it has so sparse, I didn't want to do it. But now it's got, since I used the new soil, it's grew a lot, so I would do that. I think the other criticism is that I seem to cut off too much foliage. And people seem to think that I will put a tree in shock. I have never seen a tree go into shock. In fact, I think when you cut off a lot, you tend to encourage growth where you cut off. So instead of random, you cut them off, then it will grow where you want it to be. And the other thing I'm gradually improving is that I usually cut off too much of the juniper, or for that matter, the deciduous trees as well. Now I like to do it more like poodling, or shaping the tree by imagining roughly where, let's say here's a branch. I want to imagine the pad will be like this. Then I'll just cut it off virtually like this, and eventually all the branch will grow into that pad shape in my head. And that I think will speed up the process. But I do recall one time I cut off so much of a pine tree or a juniper tree, only left 5% of the stem because I want to start a low with that small branch, and that one died off. I'm not sure what's the reason, but it could be I cut off too much. But I would say always cut off, leaving something green, no matter what tree it is. And also don't cut off too much, but if you have to, just leave, let's say 10% at least, that should be fine. Again, I'm drastic, but I haven't really run into too much trouble yet. Then the question about soil mix. The question is that what soil mix that I used that didn't work too well? Well, in the good old days, I kind of vacillated. One thing for sure, I was implanted in my head, never to keep the soil too wet. So I start off with using very porous material like lava rock and so forth. And that didn't work well because I don't water them enough and they get dried out and they die. And then I said, well, a lot of recommendation putting organic material. So I put in a lot of redwood compost and so forth. But that didn't work well either for two reasons. One is I don't press them down enough. Second reason is that once they dry out, it's hard for them to get wet again. So that didn't work. That's why I came to a compromise with my soil mix, because you have soil, which is topsoil, that's good, sandy loam, and then you have perlite as an insurance for aeration, and then organic material like coconut coir or peat moss. So that's good. And sometimes for water-loving trees, I'll add vermiculite, but I think that's probably usually a lost cause. So I'll skip that. I'll just stick to these three things. But if things that's really like pine, that I think require a little bit more drainage, I will probably use twice the amount of perlite. And then for elm and maple that like soil, I'll probably use 2x soil instead of 1x. So, but so far it has worked well for me. Again, it's don't think of it as the soil mix is what you need to be concerned with. It's a combination of soil mix as well as how you water it, your watering habits. Well, and this one is asking, what the heck did I do wrong with a black pine? Nothing seems to be right. Not much roots. No matter what I do, too much sun, too little sun, too little water, too much water. Well, all I can say is try my soil mix. It worked well for me. And I guess if you would like, put a little bit of a Super Thrive or something to stimulate the root growth. I think that may not be a bad idea. Other people use this, I forgot what the word is, but essentially a fungus to help generate the fertilizer from the soil to feed the tree. So you may want to try that too. But I think just use my soil mix and a modest amount of slow release fertilizer would do you wonders. Oh, this one is very interesting. This person says, you look young compared to me, and what's your diet and exercise and so forth. So first of all, I'll comment that baldness is nothing to do with age. So that's a hereditary issue, so baldness is okay. I think could be handsome. The other one is he jogs 3 miles a day. I say that's very, very good. I used to jog when I was younger a lot. In fact, I finished a marathon and I said never again. But it's challenging, but I don't need it. But to that, I'll add, for health, you need both aerobic and anaerobic. So add weights to your routine, and that includes start the weight light, that you're not strained, but increase the rep and increase the weight gradually over time, and you will do just fine. Lastly, you mentioned you eat a lot of junk food, but you do healthy drink. I don't know about the healthy drinks. I don't see how anybody can drink that algae stuff. But anyway, whatever you do is fine. I think you can be selective in getting the fast food. For example, I love the kung pao chicken at the Panda Express. Very healthy, actually. And then to that, I say, no matter what you eat as fast food, be sure to add a lot of fruits and vegetables, and I think you'll do just fine. Well, the fact that you're health conscious, you do fine. Nowadays, people live generally to 100, so I hope to be with you for some time. Oh, and how do you root trees in water? Well, I don't do that. I think of that as for rooting houseplants, but for the trees that I do, elm, trident maple, etc., I found the soil mix I recommended does very well. Rooting in water has one serious problem. That is, if you don't change water, you overlook about changing water consistently, very regularly, it dies because the water gets stale. So I think my soil mix, one that I recommend, 1 part perlite, 1 part vermiculite may be the best. And don't crush the vermiculite, just mix it loosely and the water frequently. I think you should do fine. So, or maybe instead of using, or also consider using coconut coir and perlite should do just fine. So with that then, we end today's Q&A. And I think one other question is when would we receive the trees announcement for the winners. We have already contacted winners, so congratulations for those who won. And sorry that you didn't win, but try again next time. Well, hey, you can also order our plants. With that in mind, then, I thank you for your audience, and click like if you think I'm being helpful and informative, and subscribe to our channel so we can notify you of any new developments. So thank you very much, and see you next time.